Hi, how are you doing? So today we're going to talk about A Streetcar Named Desire by Tennessee Williams. We're going to analyze the last part of Scene 3 and all of Scene 4 to talk about how this will affect the whole play and how interactions talk about this. Because Scene 4 is intense between the argument between Blanche and Stella. So at the last of Scene 3, Stella got hit by Stanley. Stanley goes out and he is kicked out of the house by Eunice and all those other men. Because Stella's about to have a baby and she cannot be having this violence around her. So Stella is going down to Stanley. And Stanley says humbly, Eunice, I want my girl to come down with me. Eunice just says ha and slams the door. And then he starts screaming, Stella! And then the low tone clarinet moans. The door upstairs opens again. Stella slips down the rickety stairs in her robe. Her eyes are glistening with tears and her hair loose about her throat and shoulders. They stare at each other. Then they come together in a low animal moans. He falls to his knees on the steps and presses his face to her belly, quivering a little with maternity. Her eyes go blind with tenderness as he catches his head and raises him level with her, and they made love. And then he carries her and made love, and the next morning comes along. So it feels to me how we have seen how she went upstairs like enthralled. Like this is just so beautiful for her. She has such compassion, such love for Stan. You can see that in this really intimate scene between those two. Then she wakes up, and Stella is lying down in the bedroom. Her face is serene in the early morning sunlight. One hand rests on her belly, rounding slightly with the new maternity. From the other dangles a book of colored comics. Her eyes and lips have the almost narcotized tranquility that is in the faces of Eastern idols. So she's serenely at peace. She's having that glow, the after morning glow. The things that people say that it happens. And Blanche goes to her and they speak because Stanley's out. And they have a conversation with Blanche trying to convince her and showing her what's going on. Look, girl, he's abusing you. This is not right. You have to listen to me. And Stella says to her, I said I am not in anything that I have a desire to get off. Now, desire is a main theme in this. We all desire. We all want something. We all desire for things. Desire can be defined as sexual desire or longing, wishing. And we all have longings and wishes for. We desire happiness, comfort, wealth, health, success, peace, love, and many other things. You may desire revenge, or you may desire lust, or you may just desire for nostalgia, the past, which is literally Blanche. So she has no desire to leave him. She's happy with him, or is she though? She is content. The cycle that comes and goes with abuse, they enter the honeymoon phase. It will repeat over and over again, and she's in the honeymoon phase again. And then Stella and Blanche have an argument, and then Stella says, Blanche, you saw him when he was at his worst last night. Blanche, on the contrary, I saw him at his best. What such a man has to offer is animal force, and he gave a wonderful exhibition of that. But the only way to live with such a man is to go to bed with him, and that's your job, not mine. Then Stella says, but there are things that happen between a man and a woman in the dark that sort of make everything else seem unimportant. Blanche answers, what you're talking about is brutal desire, just desire. The name of that rattle-trap streetcar that bangs to the quarter, up one old narrow street and down another. Stella says, haven't you ever ridden on that streetcar? And Blanche says, he brought me here where I'm not wanted and where I'm ashamed to be. Stella then says, then don't you think your superior attitude is a bit out of place? Blanche answers, I am not being or feeling at all superior, Stella. Believe me, I'm not. It's just this is how I look at it. A man like that is someone to go out with once, twice, 3 times when the devil is in you, but live with, have a child by? I have told you I've loved him, said Stella. Blanche answers, then I tremble for you, just tremble for you. So, what she's saying here is that she's staying with Stanley because that sex is good. Her desires are covered. She has comfort, passion, and a family coming. And Stanley controls her through that. He knows that Stella responds to that, and that's what he's using to comfort her. I mean, Blanche points out this is the kind of man, like a bad boy. That's why a bad boy. You don't go out. You may go out, maybe hook up with him, but you don't have a baby or stay with him. It's just like a one-time thing. And Stella has fallen for this kind of man. Then she says, well, if you'll forgive me, he's coming. And Stella says, why, yes, suppose he is. Blanche responds, suppose. You can have forgotten that much of our bringing up, Stella, that you suppose that any part of a gentleman in his nature, not one particle, no. Oh, if he was just ordinary, just plain, but good and wholesome, but no. There's something downright bestial about him. You're hating me saying this, aren't you? Stella coldly, go on, say it all, Blanche. Before I read the whole thing. This is a thing. You need to understand, Blanche and Stella upbringing, they're coming from the South, the old South, the high prestigious South that is dying down to the 20th century is kicking in. Blanche longs for this past to come by again, but Stella was taken away by Stanley, who triumphs. He even boasts about it, like, I pulled you to the 2 columns down and showed you the world, kind of thing. So, from Blanche's perspective, he is common, he's low, he's an immigrant, he's a Polak, or Poland, I guess, Polish. So it ensures to show you how Blanche sees this kind of man, especially after all this happened. Her views of him are worse than that. So then she says this big thing. He acts like an animal, he has an animal's habits, eats like one, something not moves like one, talks like one. There's always something subhuman about him. Something not to the stage of humanity yet. Yes, something ape-like about him, like one of those picture books I've seen in anthropological studies. Thousands and thousands of years has passed him right by, and there he is, Sally Kowalski, survivor of the Stone Age, bearing the raw meat home from the kill in the jungle, and you, here, waiting for him. Maybe he'll strike you, or maybe ground and kiss you. And, well, you can see, all this happens with Stanley eavesdropping. He can hear this big thing about how he's common and he's not a good man and how he's an ape. This is the reason why. I mean, not maybe the main reason, but after this, Stanley's dream of her Blanche becomes abusive and bullying. He wants to torment her. He wants to see her suffering to the point that he even raped her in the end. But I think that's more of a build-up of all the events. His abuse becomes more outright disgusting. He becomes destroying plates, screaming, calling himself a king, bullying Blanche, looking information about him and telling people about it. And Blanche may be a hypocrite, but she's not. You see, Blanche sees love as something as protection, to keep her safe from this cruelty she's looking for. She has lived with many other guys to try to comfort his emptiness after her ex-husband killed himself due to his presumed homosexuality. So, Blanche did fall into some hard places and lose her job as a teacher because she engaged in a relationship with a student, a senior 17-year-old, and she does have a strange attraction to young people, to young men, which I can find disturbing. So I don't think she's being a hypocrite. She's just pointed out that what Stella is living through is not normal or natural. This is just abuse and desire. And Stella is okay. She's like, girl, I'm fine. It's okay. I don't mind it. But Stanley is dropping this whole thing about he's an ape and a monster. And well, when he comes up, hiya Stella, Blanche back? Stella, yes, she's back. Stanley, hiya Blanche. He grins at her. So he's like, now that he has seen what she really thinks of him, things go south from here. This is when things go south. It becomes abusive for Stella, and the rumors comes along, and it's all just escalated from here. We can show the two sisters how they embark with each other. As said before, they come from a prestigious home, and now your sister, your sibling has married someone who you've seen beneath you. And Blanche, trying to escape reality, cannot live through this. So her fantasies and her illusion goes from this to worse, and it also goes to the point of having a mental breakdown. But that's the story for you. Well, this is all for tonight. And desires are not a bad thing. We'll have desires again. That's why Buddhism, I mean, sometimes it can be a source of suffering, as the Buddhist philosophy speaks. as saying that the two main sources of suffering are desire and ignorance. In this play, the main source of suffering is desire. Stanley's desire for control over Blanche and her family. Blanche is trying to destroy that control. Stella's desires of passion and love with this intense man. And Blanche's desires for a past, for things to go back to where they were. And that's all for tonight, I guess. Like, we could analyze more, but no need for that. And it's okay to have desires. We all desire things. We want one thing to desire right now is for a better future. Desire to pass a class and to push forward and to see what the future has to bring. Well, have a beautiful day, and I hope you're all doing fine.